Thank you for joining me this morning for our chat. I think it will be really valuable for us to talk about the legacy that you have contributed to so many client lives and how many people you have touched in your journey with Liberty as a financial advisor. But what I want to touch on today is that, yes, you might, amongst your friends and your colleagues and certainly your clients, you're known as a financial advisor. But there's another aspect to what you do that I would like to just address and talk about today. So, one of the claims that I know that was extremely personal to you, but wasn't actually your client, but you did get involved because of the closeness of the relationship that you had with the deceased. I would like you to tell me about your son-in-law's dad's passing and how traumatic that was, and how you ended up getting involved and working with the financial advisor on record.
Okay, Jeff, well, firstly, thanks very much for having me. It's not something I'm used to doing, as you know.
But you're becoming really good on screen.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. But it's always lovely to spend time with you, and thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Jeff, it's funny we're talking about it now, and there's Brandon you're talking about. Brandon and Kylie on their way down to the Berg now as part of their wedding gift that we gave them in February. They got married, and they're on their way down right now. And poor Brandon, probably you are aware, he's on crutches at the moment, a bad injury he's had in rugby, being a semi-professional. So they borrowed my car. I hope it's going safely, so he can drive because it's automatic and it's his left leg. But yeah, this happened now 3 years ago. And it's an interesting question, Jeff, because it was something I dealt with out of all the claims I've had. Somebody's not really my client. Brandon was my client, has been my client, still is my client, obviously. But at the time I met Mike, who's Brandon's dad, and that's a few years ago. I can't remember now, 5 or 6 years. We became very close. In fact, him and Kylie became very, very close, to the extent that he was convinced they should have got married after 6 months of being together. I thought he was maybe crazy. Yes, yeah.
I wouldn't be good with that.
So obviously, one of the first things I do, something I encourage now, my new role at EQFin, that you've got me involved in with the mentoring, is you're always going to bring up this business. Whether you are 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, you're always going to talk about what we do. And of course, Mike and I got done. Probably knowing Mike and I at his farm, around a fire, a couple of toots, and he had already had a bit of a portfolio, which is great. He had a financial advisor, broker looking after him, but he wanted me more involved. So when I did have a look at his stuff, he had a particular policy with another company, not with us. I had a look at it, and the only concern I had at the time, there was no beneficiary. Yeah. So you know the implications of that. So the first thing one of the things I said to him, in his particular age and his health, was never a very healthy guy, or Mike. Lovely person, but really wasn't healthy. I said, let's leave it where it is. If you ever need advice, if the unforgivable happens, I promise you I'll get involved with Elise, his wife, and of course Bran and his sister as well. But that's not going to happen. So let's not worry about it. But keep it. But Mike, do me a favor, man. You've got to get that beneficiary issue sorted very quickly. And I explained to him the difference of having a beneficiary. Takes 2 minutes to pay out as long as we don't have any funny things to do. There's no beneficiary, goes into your state, etc., and I explained all that, and I don't want to bore you with that. He never did it, and I didn't know. And he, unfortunately, Jeff, passed away, as I said to you, I think 3 years ago. It was just sort of sudden during the COVID period. Horrible. Him and his dad Brandon and his dad, very, very, very close. And so it wasn't pleasant. I actually ended up rushing Brandon and Kylie to the hospital when he was in there, because you couldn't go to the hospital because of the COVID situation. And as we got there, passed away. So we fast forward a bit now. Elise kind of got hold of me, and we looked at it, and I tried to do some fiddling with broker friends of mine because I couldn't fiddle with this other company's policy, etc. And the other company were quite correct. We couldn't change beneficiaries. You couldn't put Elise on all of a sudden. It's right, okay, it was the law. And what happened was, it did go to the state, and we're talking a couple of million. And that was a big chunk of what Elise must get with everything else that she got with the plot and things like that. And of course, from a technical point of view, created a big tax issue too, as you would know. But let's put that aside, because it was more the emotions that we need to deal with. And all that Elise did, she came to me and she said, Sean, would I be involved, please, with the lawyers, with the executors, etc. And I did, and I got very involved. We got it sorted out. The executors were very happy, apparently, to have me there with them, even though I was not the official broker or financial advisor because whoever was on record at the time, at least didn't want them. He was still around apparently, but she said, no, I've got kind of a family member doing it. So Elise's brothers flew up for our meetings that we had. They also asked me if I could be involved. So the whole family wanted. And then, of course, Brandon just said, please, you called me Pa at the time, who I'm sure, please would you be involved? And I did. And we got it sorted. But the sad thing about that is, Jeff, is all the claims I had, it wasn't my own personal client, even though we would have become big mates, I know that, over the next few years. And it's quite sad, actually, when I think about it, because I do know, besides Brand being so close to his dad, Kylie became very, very close. So, that's the sad part. And, of course, very sad for Elise, now the widow. But we did get sorted out. But it did affect the tax situation. She did have to pay more tax because that couple of million was added. It was hard in the 8 months or 9 months for her because, obviously, an estate, as you know, can take anything from 2 minutes, if you're really lucky, to 2 or 3 years to get wrapped up.
Cash flow in the meantime.
There we go. And the life insurance is ideal for that.
Yeah.
And that's what we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
If you don't lie, you don't commit suicide in 2 years, we'll pay you. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
And then you've got the money. So it was tough for Elise. It was tough for Brand. And you can imagine the pressure. So as I've always said to my clients, why don't you spend your time mourning if something happens and let everybody else worry about the finances? Well, they had to do both. And that was sad. But we got involved, and I'm very fortunate that Kylie and Anita and Dylan, from my side, helped as well, which was great in all ways. And I'm not talking financially, more of emotional kind of support. And I think that helped, hopefully, certainly helped Brand. I mean, today I consider him another son.
You do.
And as you know. So, it was a sad scenario, but we got it sorted eventually.
See, I think the important part there is that, yes, you have relationships, yes, with family members, but also then with colleagues. And when it comes to the crunch, when it comes to a life-threatening moment, and then it turns fatal, or it turns extremely consequential in terms of being in hospital or accident and so on, they call on you. And, the old adage about, everybody else who arrives at the front door is there with a bill. You are the person who facilitates a payment of a cash lump sum that can secure at least peace of mind in terms of a standard of living going forward that would be right for the widow. And you would know. And yes, certainly I see the care and the concern and the support that you and your family give, not only to Elise and your son-in-law, who you actually do call son, which is lovely, but for all your clients. And for that, that's why you wear that tie and that particular VIP star badge on your jacket. So thank you very much, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for having me. That's very good.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.